Did last night's executive order essentially declare war on the Mexican drug cartels? And when I say war, I don't mean war on drugs war. I mean war on terror war. We're going to go through it a little bit. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We're going to go right to the White House. This is whitehouse.gov. This is their website, whitehouse.gov. Designating cartels and other organizations as foreign terrorist organizations and specially designated global terrorists. Designating cartels and other organizations as terrorist organizations and specifically designated global terrorists. By authority vested in me as President, by the Constitution and laws of the United States, including the Immigration and Naturalization Act, I declare this. I hereby ordered. This order creates a process by which certain international cartels, the cartels in quotes, and other organizations will be designated as foreign terrorist organizations under Section 219. It goes through all that. Here's the portions that I want to highlight. International cartels constitute a national security threat beyond that posed by traditional organized crime, with activities encompassing convergence between themselves and a range of extra-hemispheric actors from designated foreign terror organizations to antagonistic foreign governments. Complex adaptive systems, characteristics of entities engaged in insurgency and asymmetric warfare, and infiltration into foreign governments across the Western Hemisphere. Do you notice the phrase Western Hemisphere keeps coming up? Kind of like it's a reinforcement of the Monroe Doctrine, except on Mexico, which I've been saying is going to be the case the whole time. I've been saying that the whole time. That what we're seeing is a reinforcement of the Monroe Doctrine. This is the Trump-Monroe Doctrine, and this is the Mexican portion of it. The cartels have engaged in a campaign of violence and terror throughout the Western Hemisphere, and not only have destabilized countries that with significant importance of our national interests, but also flooded the United States with deadly drugs, violent criminals, and vicious gangs. The cartels functionally control, through a campaign of assassination, terror, rape, and brute force, nearly all illegal traffic across the southern border of the United States. In certain portions of Mexico, they function as a quasi-governmental entities, controlling nearly all aspects of society. The cartel's activities threaten the safety of the American people, the security of the United States, and the international order in the Western Hemisphere. This keeps being cited, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot stress to you enough. Their activities proximate to and incursions into the physical territory of the United States pose an unacceptable national security risk to the United States. Other transnational organizations such as TDA and MS-13 pose similar threats to the United States. Their campaigns of violence and terror in the United States and internationally are extraordinarily violent, vicious, and similarly threaten the stability of international order in the Western Hemisphere. Continually, you're hearing the word Western Hemisphere, the words Western Hemisphere, not just the United States. This is so much bigger than people think it is. Oh, cool, we're designating them as terror. No. Boys, this could literally be the first document in the Second American-Mexican War. Yes, that's hyperbole. Yes, that's out of this park, as in, wow, that's crazy town. How could you even say that? Well, they're the ones saying that they're using asymmetric means such as insurgency and asymmetric warfare. They have said Western Hemisphere repeatedly in this document. And again, this document is from the White House. I'm not making this up. Whitehouse.gov, presidential actions designating cartels as criminal organizations, so on and so forth. I don't have to make this up. This goes through the necessities of this The Secretary of State shall have an action plan brought to the Secretary of Treasury, the Attorney General, and Director of Homeland Security. Within 14 days, the Attorney General and Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall take all appropriate actions. General provisions. This order is not intended to, does not create any right or benefit substantive of procedural, enforceable law, or inequity of any part of the United States, its departments, agencies, blah, blah, blah. This is one hell of a document. I think it's historic. The reinforcement of the Monroe Doctrine is something that I, on this channel, have been saying for literally now months. If you are watching the Lemon Sour Show, you are ahead of the curve, and that's no BS. This is a presentation from Peter Zeihan. Again, Peter Zeihan does not get everything right. He bats about 50-50. But one of the things he is correct about is the upcoming, I'm sorry to say, the upcoming probable war with Mexico, not with the government as much as it will be with the cartels, who, as you saw in the order here, are getting assistance from, let's just go back here, convergence between themselves and a range of extra hemispheric actors from designated foreign terror organizations and antagonistic foreign governments. All you have to say, all you've got to see is a couple of AK-47s or something from the wrong place. Hey, those are Chinese. Guess what? You don't even have to do that now. It's already been authorized. But this is Peter Zeihan talking about the importance of our relationship with Mexico, and specifically about some of the drug cartel activity. Now, this is a couple years old, so the information isn't as up-to-date as it could be. However, the general outlay is very important.
Here are our Mexican neighbors. The Mexican economy is larger. The Mexican population is more value-added and more skilled. And the Mexican export portfolio is more advanced than the entirety of Central Europe. Mexico is the only country on the planet we need from an economic point of view. It's the only one we can't turn our backs on from an economic point of view. Think of Donald Trump. Think of what he said during his campaign the first time around about Mexico. Some very not nice things, I might add. Within a year, even he realized just how critical the relationship was. And the result, among other things, was NAFTA II, and the friendliest bilateral relationship we have had with Mexico since its foundation as a republic in the 1800s. There are a lot of things about Donald Trump that I'm just like, oh, but wow, he was dead on that one. Which means that we need to pay attention to Mexico in a way we have not. This is the Mexican population structure. This is just a flat-out population density map. Taking a look at Texas, and this is broadly what we think of in the United States when we think of normal. You have a dense population center surrounded by suburbs and then speckles of small towns beyond that. Why? Because it freaking rains in America. You can have small towns because that's where the farms base. But look at Mexico. You get sprawling cities in 1,000 miles from the border south, and then nothing. You don't have the population density of a downtown core because it was never an entrepot system like we have in Dallas or Kansas City or Des Moines. They're isolated from one another. Now, from an economic point of view, that means that Mexican labor is in limited supply. There is no hinterland to draw upon. So the first movers who take advantage of Mexican labor are the only ones who really win. That's one of the reasons why we're seeing the greatest industrialization push in this country right now as industrialists relocate manufacturing plant from East Asia to North America. They're starting to realize that the Mexicans have become a precious resource. But it also means that you guys face a complication. Cartel control map. Now this is from 2015. You guys remember El Chapo? He was kind of badass in a terrifying way. El Chapo was not your normal kingpin. This is not The Sopranos. He didn't run a mob boss operation. He kind of ran a Korean-style conglomerate. He would bring in all of his regional commanders a couple of times a year, and they would compare notes. And he would lay down a few basic laws. Don't engage in petty crime. Don't steal widowers' pension checks. Don't mug people. We are drug smugglers. Focus on our core competency. And if you want to branch out, you have to clear it with me first. So people come in and say, well, what about methamphetamines? He's like, well, what about methamphetamines? He's like, well, we can get this from this and this from this, and we can run along the same routes to the same distributors in the United States. Approved. What about cocaine? He's like, we can't grow cocaine. Oh, but with a grant from USAID, we can do hybridization. We can probably grow some in Sinaloa. Approved. That's how he ran the place. So in 2016, he became our wanted number one, and we got him. then he got away, and then we got him again, and now he's in prison forever. Removing that personality, the manager, the guy who saw drug smuggling as a business and not as warfare, changed the map. And here's where we are now. The Sinaloa was the orange. The blue is Jalisco New Generation. They used to be the enforcers for Sinaloa, and after El Chapo fell, they went into business for themselves. They see the drug business as a war. They see intimidation and mass murder as an end and not just as a means to one. Now, this would be bad for any number of reasons. You guys hear about the avocado ban that's in the country right now? That's Sinaloa. I'm sorry, that's Jalisco New Generation. They've expanded into parallel industries, agriculture, transport, tourism, local government, and they are the single biggest organized crime group in the world right now. But their presence north of the border is almost non-existent. But here are the plazas. You'll notice that they are now all split authority. Jalisco New Generation is challenging each pre-existing crime structure to get control of the plazas. American strategic policy on the drug war has kind of an echo of American strategic policy on Afghanistan. When we were in Afghanistan, if we saw two jihadist groups going at it, green on green action, we'd let them go. Not a problem for us. That's kind of how we've thought of the cartel wars. But if Jalisco New Generation gets control of a plaza, today Sinaloa, El Chapo's group, is the single largest crime group in the United States. Single largest. If Jalisco New Generation brings the Mexican drug war north of the border, we have a very different problem. And it's not a problem that law enforcement on this side of the border can solve. So whether you're looking at this from a demographic point of view, a drug point of view, a civil authority point of view, a strategic point of view, this is your next war. We haven't thought about how to fight it yet. The yellow is arid, the orange is desert, all this hash is verticality, roughly 1 mile above sea level. You know what I see when I look at that? Empty spaces, rugged terrain, dry terrain, an unsecurable border. This is Afghanistan. The same tool set that we use there, we're probably going to have to use in northern Mexico.
Almost depressing when he puts it like that. This is Afghanistan. Same tool set. But I actually tend to agree, because the Mexican government is controlled so much by the drug cartels that I'm not sure that they can act independently anymore. Trump threatening to put a 25% tariff on them for pretty much everything. And then he signs this. I'm going to be sure to link this. I'd like everyone to kind of look this over and think about the implications of that. Could this be the signing of the first document of the Second Mexican-American War? I don't know. But what I do know for sure is that this is a reinforcement of the Trump-Monroe Doctrine. This is the Mexican version. This is the Mexican version. You're seeing it unfold right now with the tariffs, with his discussions with the Mexican president, and how her response has been basically, we will now take back the immigrants. She understands. This is a lot bigger than what the news is pointing out. This is a hemispheric doctrine, and this is a part of it. I appreciate you listening to me ramble on about this. Thank you very much.